Kim Kardashian takes the soccer moms to Europe. Scott Disick gets a match made, whether or not it's in heaven, to be determined. And above all, we have Khloe Kardashian and Kris Jenner leaving us on a cliffhanger for what's to come with the next episode. Hey everyone, it's Hannah Fletcher and welcome back to Shared News. We're going to be breaking down everything involving the latest episode of The Kardashians, Season 4, Episode 4. Now, whether or not you guys tuned in, this episode was definitely a little bit more in terms of drama for this particular episode and where we're at in the season, but I still just think that we are chugging along. Now, we'll get to the cliffhanger here at the end, so hang in there with me. Let's kick it off at the beginning of the episode. We saw Kim and Kylie. I feel like we got to see Kylie. I was very excited. I was really hoping that we would get to see a lot more of her, and I'm not shocked that we didn't. You know, we saw her and Kim enjoying each other's company, and basically Kim dropped the bomb on Kylie that she was going to take her son, Saint, and a bunch of his best friends, as well as the best friend's parents, over to Europe to basically hop around and see a bunch of soccer games. So unfortunately, that's the only time that we got to see Kylie. Now, this was a massive trip that Kim was planning, and what lucky parents to be able to attend a Kim Air experience with Saint and with Kim herself. I mean, what an exclusive experience. Good for these parents. I'm very excited for them. Now, they are exclusive in their own right as well. But of course, to be able to just take a Europe trip with Kim Kardashian and her son, what a gift. Now let's move on to one of my favorite parts of the episode. We have Khloe and Scott having an encounter, and obviously Kris Jenner is there. Now Kris went to go visit Scott, and she basically pulled up in the car with Khloe, and Scott mentioned about the idea of potentially getting back surgery. Now, we did see in the last episode that Scott was definitely struggling, and he's very apprehensive about the idea that he might have to get surgery, and hopefully he doesn't. But regardless, Kris Jenner just dove right into the question that she was dying to know, and allegedly that everybody's dying to know, and that is wondering if Scott is dating anybody. Now, he made a joke about the fact that Khloe is tall, and he gave her a bunch of compliments, but then obviously he rest assured that Khloe is not in the cards for himself. Now, I love the fact that in this particular scene, we saw Scott's daughter Penelope chime in. I thought this was super cute. She basically mentioned that somebody has to be motivated, they have to be inclined to go to the gym, and above all, Penelope was adamant about the fact that she had to be older than what it is that he's been dating before. I think that this was super great. I personally have loved watching Scott and P's relationship develop over the years, and I think that they are so cute, and I love the fact that Scott was mentioning that he's just focused on his kids. I think that this is really great and imperative to the relationship that he can continue to foster with his kids. So I loved seeing this, and I loved seeing Penelope engage in this conversation. I'm hoping, frankly, we get to see more of Penelope throughout the season. I think she is super smart and insightful, and I think that she's the one just keeping Scott Disick in a line, for sure. So I think that that was a really cute part of the show. I'm really glad that we got to see that. I'm hoping that we see more of this dynamic. Now, Kris did agree with Scott to basically go forth and try to get a match made. She was going to go to a matchmaker and lay out all of the credentials with everything that Scott is potentially looking for in a woman. And, you know, I think that this is really cute. I didn't see this really coming until obviously with the last episode, we got to see a sneak peek as to what's to come for the week ahead. So obviously I knew that this was coming, but I didn't know what to expect. And it seemed like it was a lot better than initially anticipated. So then moving forward, Scott basically had the matchmaking session take place. We saw Khloe downing a few glasses of wine, sitting next to Kris Jenner, interviewing a bunch of really optimistic girls. They were all very beautiful, very excited, very eager in their own right. And ultimately, Scott did end up going on a date with one girl named Celine. And honestly, I think that Celine was a really great contender for Scott. I can see that these two were definitely a little bit different. And eventually in the episode, he gave us a lot of insight that basically the date was really great. He was very glad that she was an optimistic and positive person, but the biggest red flag for him was the fact that basically she didn't have any heartbreak. She didn't have any trauma, any type of experience that kind of resembled any type of hardship. So I think that he was a little bit apprehensive due to that, but regardless, he seemed very grateful for the experience. I think that Celine was fabulous. I really liked her. I really liked her demeanor. I didn't feel like she was there for the cameras, and I did feel like she was actually there for the opportunity. So maybe moving forward in the season, we'll see more of Celine, maybe not. But regardless, I think that it was a really good experience for everybody involved. And maybe this is going to be something that we see Scott pursuing. Maybe he'll continue to put his dating life in the hands of Kris Jenner. Who knows? Okay, so we're going to backtrack a little bit. Now we have Kim. Kim obviously made it to Europe, and she made it with Saint and with a bunch of the kids and their moms. And this was a really cute trip. I really think that it was really sweet. I'm glad that they were able to take such an extravagant trip just to be able to support such a passion that clearly Saint and his friends have for soccer. Now, during the trip, she did mention at one point a little bit about the Met. We kind of heard Kim break away from the idea of soccer and speaking about the Met, which I thought was very fascinating. Also, it gives us a direct timeline as to when this particular season is taking place. She mentioned that she was very apprehensive about meeting the cat that belonged to Karl Lagerfeld. And she basically mentioned, too, that she was very apprehensive about attending solo because this was really the first year attending the Met where she was solo. She didn't have a plus one, i.e. Kanye. So I thought that that was very neat that she shared that with us. I didn't know how she felt in regards to all of this. Also, she did mention, much like maybe you guys did or didn't know, there were a lot of rumors going on when the Met was taking place as to whether or not any of the Kardashians were going to be in attendance because apparently they weren't invited and there was a whole bunch of hubbub surrounding all of that. So I'm glad that she was able to set the record straight. Obviously, we know that she went to the Met, but I think that this was very neat to be able to address this and to bring this into the show as well. So she mentioned that while she was in London. And then also we saw that basically the kids had a really great time. The moms were all enjoying themselves. I thought that there was a really neat day that they had where the kids went to the London Eye. She set up a call with their favorite player on the team, the Arsenal team, and the boys also got to go to a musical. This was like all in one day. They went to Back to the Future, the musical, and they were able to hang out with the cast. They were filming different TikToks and dances backstage behind the scenes. And at the end of the day for the moms, they were all able to go into a pub. So we got to see Kim do something very normal, which I feel like we don't get to see, especially not when she's here in the US. So I think for her, holding up a Guinness on St. Patrick's Day at the end of the night with the moms, celebrating the holiday and just celebrating the fact that they're in Europe, I think that that was really great. It was so weird seeing Kim Kardashian just hold a beer. I just don't feel like that is something that I've seen. And I mean, we really haven't. So I don't know. I loved seeing her be able to indulge in something that was very normal because, you know, that's got to be very hard. Imagine being Kim Kardashian and just trying to go to a pub. I'm sure that's very difficult and you're constantly getting recognized. So she did get recognized at the pub, but it did seem like, obviously with security and with the will to be able to function and just be as normal as possible. It seemed like she had a very successful St. Patrick's Day with the moms. So I really liked this portion as well. Again, we didn't get much for drama. We saw a lot of different, definitely feel-good moments, which is really great. But again, if you're looking to tune into this episode for any type of drama, you're really not getting it at all. You're really not getting it so far this season. Now, we will go ahead and end it with Kris and Khloe. Now, Kris and Khloe had a conversation. We saw this in the teaser trailer for this particular episode in last week's episode. And we saw that these ladies were having a conversation that seemed to get pretty tense and intense. And basically one could conclude from the trailer last episode that it was about Khloe and Tristan. And in fact, it was. Now, Kris asked Khloe about her dating life, and she mentioned this because of Scott and the matchmaking situation. And she basically was like, oh, well, Scott went on his date. Speaking of that, where do you stand? Where does Tristan stand? And basically, Khloe claims that she would be heartbroken. It seems like to a certain degree if Tristan did move on. But in fact, she does want for him to move on. And I think that Khloe was very well spoken in this scene. She mentioned that she basically molded Tristan into who he was, and that it's unfair to her that all of the guys that she's been with in her life, she's molded these guys into better versions of themselves, and then they get to go share that with the world. But unfortunately, they didn't get to share that with her. And they saw all of her greatness, but they didn't realize her greatness until after they were past their relationship points, which I think the way that she phrased it was very true. I thought that it was a very great conversation for them to have, and it started to get very intense, and you guys, it ended in a cliffhanger. Khloe was asking Kris about the cheating situation that took place back in the day with Robert Kardashian, and then we got a cliffhanger. I would be lying if I said I didn't slap my couch out of frustration because I really just wanted to know what was going to happen with this conversation, and now I'm going to have to wait another week just like you guys are too. but I think that it's going to be a very good conversation. I am extremely excited to be able to see where it goes. And though we didn't get a lot of drama this episode, you know, as much as nobody likes a cliffhanger, at least we have something really very much to look forward to next week, because I really want to know what Chris has to say. So let me know all of your thoughts on this episode down in the comments below. Where do you guys stand for this season? For me personally, I am really just going with the flow. I'm watching the episodes as they come out. I am not losing any sleep over the idea if I don't catch it right away. You know, I'm definitely just going with the flow, because this is a show that I've watched for very, very many years. I've been watching the Kardashians religiously since high school, and that was a long time ago for me. So I'm excited to continue on with this season, but I am waiting for a lot more to happen. I want to see more of Kendall and Kylie as per usual. Still really nothing from Kourtney at all. And I'm really anxious to be able to see where the season's going to go. You know, I feel like it is a slow build, but maybe there's something there, especially with the conversation that we saw taking place between Kris and Khloe. Really looks like Tristan is going to be the catalyst for any drama. And I feel like that's going to be the main drama that we see this season, surrounded by maybe some sub-drama. But I think that that's going to be the main focus for this season. But again, let me know all of your thoughts down below in the comment section. Thank you guys so much for tuning in as per usual. Make sure that you guys have liked this video if you haven't already. Hit the subscribe button and turn those notifications on so you don't miss out on any of our future uploads, especially regarding the Kardashians. And again, I'm your host, Hannah Fletcher. You guys can follow me on social media at Hannah R. Fletcher. My handle is right there on the screen, so come say hello, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye, guys.